About a month or two ago, I got this idea in the shower, you know, the perfect thinking place, of what is the most built structure in Minecraft. Now I know this is a bit of a far cry from what I normally upload, but I thought that it'd be fun to just hang out, have fun, and think about what it could be. Now I have a list here of some ideas that came to mind of something that could take the most built award, but I also think that it's important to specify what exactly the most built structure means. In this case, I don't really want to use a blanket term of just, oh, it's a house, or something generic like that, and so if something like that ever comes up, I'll try to specify or go into more detail to make things more fun. This also means that it has to be something completely built by the player, so moving into a villager's house and remodeling it doesn't really count. I'm also going to try my best to avoid something that's just like placing 3 blocks and calling it a structure because I feel like, I don't know, that just kinda sucks. Starting things off, we got the classic dirt hut. This thing is timeless. You could probably join any multiplayer server and find a dirt hut somewhere in the world near spawn or something. Dirt's abundant, you can mine it with literally anything, and it's just easy to work with. It works as a great starter home for the first night or two, so I could imagine that it's definitely up there in the built rankings. Unfortunately, it'll still run you about $7,000 a month in New York. Next up on the list is the diamond/iron/gold block house. I'm sure that there have been tons of kids, including myself, who have gone into a creative world, given themselves all these flashy ore blocks, and then started building the most swagged out house possible. Double chest full of diamonds and everything, just pretending that you got all of these legitimately knowing full well you're in creative mode. I also think that there's just something about making a house out of one of the most difficult to get blocks in the game that became ingrained in the minds of kids playing this game. Like you'd see this kind of building in Minecraft machinimas and other types of videos. It's also just a way to flex on your friends, so I feel like this is a pretty decent nominee for the Built Awards. Continuing on the topic of houses, I feel like I've seen such a large number of homes that consist of a wood box with each corner containing log pillars. For me personally, I rock with the wood walls, log corners, and cobblestone roof and floor. While I think it's worth showcasing this example, I also think that there's too much variety when creating this style of house. If you look up basic Minecraft house in Google Images, you can see the same consistent corner logification all over the place, but the sheer difference in the style of houses that are built around this premise are very drastic. So because of this, it's kinda tough to say if it qualifies for the most built structure award, because it feels like the logs are the only consistent piece of the whole structure, and so I fear that it's not enough to separate the structure from the blanket statement of just calling it a house. But hey, if it counts in your head, that's fire. Have you ever wondered, how can I build so-and-so? Well, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to find a tutorial for it somewhere on YouTube. Like you can probably search something like Minecraft Snowy Cabin tutorial and get a block-by-block guide on how to build a pretty good looking structure. And these guides could have thousands to millions of views. Granted, not every person is actually going to follow these guides and are just watching for fun, but the idea is that a ton of people are going to try them out and start building. The issue with this is that for the most built structure award, there would have to be like one ultra super duper house that everyone likes and is tried to incorporate into their world. So while it's nice that you could find a tutorial on most structures, there's probably not going to be one unified specific build that takes the cake for this award. The next structure is one that I think has the potential to at least be the second most built, if not very, very high up there. This structure is the Herobrine Shrine. I don't think I've ever met a single person who plays Minecraft and doesn't know or hasn't heard of Herobrine. It was such a playground rumor of how to summon Herobrine in your world, and the most common structure regarding this that I've seen was either the pyramid or the pillar. The one I personally have seen the most is the pyramid, so I'll focus on that. You've got the gold blocks, the redstone torches, the mossy cobble, and finally the lit netherrack. When I was younger, I would make a creative world and build this just to see if anything would happen, and I'm so confident that I'm not the only one. Herobrine was such a mystery back then to all the younger players, and the removed Herobrine in every patch note after updates wasn't helping either. I can imagine that tons of people out there have built this shrine for their world or with their friends to hunt for Herobrine, and because of this, I believe that the shrine has gotta be on the podium. Another realm of structures that I haven't talked about yet are farms, specifically mob farms. If a mob exists and can drop an item, people are gonna find a way to take complete advantage of them by building farms. In this case, for the awards, I think that the mob farm in which you build a giant T where mobs spawn at the top and then get pushed to the center hole takes the cake for the most built farm. I'm not really sure if there's an official name for this specific structure, but I think that while its general use in regular survival can be very useful, it became very commonplace to see due to games like Skyblock in which resources are really important. While this structure in particular is really common, I still don't think it's the most built. I'm saving that one for the end. Up next is a short segment where I'm honestly not sure whether to consider these a structure or not, so I don't know, up to you. Starting off is just straight up an animal pen. I mean like fences in a rectangle formation for sheep or something, so it's not exactly the most complex thing ever. I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about this one. Another build, or rather invention, could be a redstone contraption of some kind. Now I'm basically the stupidest person alive when it comes to this stuff, but I do also know that not everyone is building literal computers. So I feel like for the most built theme we've got going on, it could be something like a piston door maybe? That's like the closest thing to a super commonly built quote-unquote structure for anything redstone that I could think of. I guess you could technically include the Temple of Notch, but I figure that's more copy-pasted rather than separately built individually. I don't know, let me know what you think. Now, we finally reached the point where I reveal what I believe to be the most built structure in Minecraft. It's kind of anticlimactic, but I think it's a nether portal. Think about it, it opens up the game to a whole new realm. You can use it for overworld travel, you can make several mob farms with its properties, and it's literally required to beat the game. I know that it's probably not the most shocking answer ever, but in my opinion, this easily takes the cake unless I'm missing something insanely obvious. I still think that if we exclude speedrunning, it still remains in the #1 spot because that's how useful they are. A fun alternative would also be the failed Aether portal. You know, the glowstone frame and the depressing water flowing out of it, crushing your younger self's hopes and dreams. I think that just the nature of the Aether mod following pretty much the same method to enter a new dimension as the nether portal is what led a ton of players to actually try creating this themselves. It also just looks so real, you know? Like it's actually part of the real game. But then again, if you think about it, you would need glowstone in the first place to make this, which would require you to enter the nether. But yeah, that'll do it. Let me know if you can think of other good candidates, or just flame me completely, I guess. I don't know. This was just a one-off video sort of testing the waters, but I hope it was somewhat fun. I'm gonna work on the next Portal 2 video now, so thanks for hanging out with me in the meantime. See ya!